Hi, I'm Mark Needham with StarTree, and in this video we're going to learn how to roll up segments in real-time tables in Apache Pinot. Rolling up segments is something that we do to reduce the amount of space that older data is taking. So we probably want to query new data at the raw event level, but perhaps older data can be aggregated up to the nearest minute, hour, or even day. Let's have a look at how this works with help from some product purchases. So we've got a stream in Kafka, and so we're going to use the kcat tool to have a look at that. So we're going to pass in the name of the broker and then the name of the topic, and we'll grab 10 events. And so you can see we've got some imaginary purchases. We've got the stock, we've got the quantity, we've got the price, and then we've got the sales amount. So we've got a bunch of metrics to work with. Let's now have a look at the Pinot schema for this data. So you can see we've got some dimension fields for the product ID and product name, and then metrics for stock, quantity, price, and sales amount. And then finally, we've got our timestamp at the end. Now for the table config. So you can see here we name our table events. It's a real-time table, so it means there's going to be a stream of data. And then we've got our Kafka config as well. If we scroll down a little bit, under ingestion config, there is a config that we need in Apache Pinot 0.12, but not in 0.13. So this append, the segment ingestion type of append won't be needed in the next release. And then if we come down even further under the task, you can see we've got a task type configs map, and under there we've got the merge rollup task. And notice that we've got two different tasks, and both of them are using rollup, which means we're going to be aggregating records. And if we then look down at the end of that config, you can see we've got like some field name and then aggregation type, and that describes what rollup we're going to do. So for example, for stock, we're going to grab the minimum value. For quantity, we're going to sum up everything. For price, we're going to get the maximum value. And then for sales amount, we're going to sum everything up as well. And so it's going to sum on all the other fields effectively in those sum cases. And then for min, it's going to find the minimum for all the other fields, and then the maximum for the other fields. Let's have a look at the individual rollup tasks. So the one with the prefix 5M_2M, what is that one doing? So it's basically bucketing records from the same 5-minute period, but only processing records that are greater than 2 minutes old. And it's going to round those in 1-minute intervals within that bucket. And then the 10M_2M one, what that's doing is it's bucketing records from the same 10-minute period, but it's going to wait a bit longer. So it's going to wait until 12 minutes have passed before processing anything. And it's going to do rounding in a bit bigger buckets. So they're going to be 5-minute interval buckets. We can also have a look at the controller config that we've had to pass in when we started up our cluster. So in particular, notice that we need to enable the scheduler. And we've set a frequency of 5 minutes. So it's going to run the rollup job every 5 minutes, but you probably do that at a bit lesser frequency in production. Now let's call the add table command and create our table. And so we'll give that a few seconds. And now we can move over to the Pinot UI. And if we write just a basic query, just say select star from events, you can see we've got like lots of events coming in. Let's now write another query. So what this one's going to do is it's going to check how many records we have by segment name. So we're going to use the $segment name, special derived column in there, and then we're going to get the minimum date and the maximum date, and then we'll group it by the segment name and we'll order it by the most recent timestamp. And you can see here at the moment, when the first time we run it, we just get one segment. So it's got just events _0_0. But if we wait a few more minutes and run it again, you can see we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can see they've got varying sort of 400,000 records or so per segment. If we wait like a little bit longer, so let's say we wait another 10 minutes or so and try again, but this time we're going to sort by the timestamp in ascending order. This time we've now got some different segment names. So you notice we've got the merged underscore, and then we've got the 10M_2M and the 5M_2M prefixes. And notice that they've got way fewer records. So they've got 100 in the case of the 10M, and then 500 for one of the 5Ms and 100 for the other one. And that's because we've rolled up the value. So we've kind of removed the raw events and just left the aggregate. So let's write a query to find records in the 5M merged segments. And if we run that query, you can see that all the timestamps have been round up. And notice that, remember that the price is the max, the quantity is the sum, and the sales is the sum as well, and then the stock is the minimum value that was computed. So in this case, it's for each product is where the aggregation has been done. And what about if we do the same for the 10M merged segments? So again, you can see now the main difference is the quantity and the sales amount are much higher because it's covering a bigger period of time. And again, the timestamp has been rounded, but you can't necessarily see the difference between the rounding of that timestamp and what was in there for the 5M one. So let's write another query. So this time we're going to say, I want to get the segment name, the timestamp and count, how many records we've got, and just get me back those merged segments. And you can see in the results here, if you look on the first row, so that's part of one of the 10M_2M segments. The next two rows are in a different 10M2M segment. And then the last three are in a 5M2M1. And notice that for the 5M2M1, we've got 1 minute intervals. So it goes 1050, 1051, 1052. But for the 10M1s, it's 5 minute intervals. And remember, that is exactly what we told it to do. And so that's the end of this video in which we've learnt about rolling up real-time segments in Apache Pinot. Give it a try and let us know how you get on, and I'll see you in the next video.